What did you make of the fight? I mean, for the neutral, as they say, it was one of the most exciting fights of all time. As the father of one of the participants, it must have been more than a little nervy for you.
To be honest with you, it wasn't a boxing match, was it? Because Tyson was very badly injured going into that fight. He had to have chromosome injections in both elbows. Both elbows was numb. He's since had an operation, a 6-hour all day in the hospital having it sorted out his elbows because I think he had some bone spurs we had to get removed. Common thing in sportsmen, especially boxers. And he was handicapped from the beginning. But the boxing side of it, it went out the window because I knew he was going to be like that from the on. When I seen him, the look in his eye, he just wanted to destroy, seek and destroy, and that's what he did. And believe me, exciting for the paying public. Probably one of the most exciting heavyweight fights you'll see. But boxing-wise, he didn't do nothing. They trained. They couldn't have trained for that, could they?
No. Well, I mean, his training camp was disrupted anyway. Of course, baby Athena. All the problems. Thank God that she came through that. I mean, it was a far from ideal preparation.
To be honest with you, I think he only had about 3 and a half weeks to train for it. When I was in all day hospital in Liverpool with him. He was at his low point. He couldn't be any lower. But to go from there 4 weeks later and do what he did. He's moving mountains, this man. And was he fit? No, not at all. And I wasn't going to say anything different. I was saying, yeah, you've had a good camp, son, you've done this, you've done that. I was trying to be positive. But in my mind, I knew the truth. That he was only 50% of what he should be. Because he had too many problems. He had the COVID in July when it was first meant to take place. Then he got the problems with his daughter. You can't get your head straight from that within weeks. And that's what he did. And to perform like he did. And I could see it was ring rust, 20 months out of the ring, and he thought, yep, okay, to hell with the boxing. It's not going to work. I'm ring rusty. Let's have it. Let's have a war. And he stood toe-to-toe with him. And it was a thrilling affair. But it shortens careers, doesn't it? And with Tyson being an exemplary boxer like he is, it hurts me to see him get as much stick as that. And the right hand he took, was a rookie move, wasn't it? He walked straight onto it. The old Tyson would not have done that. And at that rate, looking at that fight, Tyson don't need a trainer, does he?
Well,
because he's doing his own thing when he goes in there anyway. Because they couldn't have trained for that because that was a slugfest, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right because it struck me like I think it was the press conference or the weigh-in. I've never seen him so angry as that. I mean, he normally plays the mind games, has a bit of a crack, but he had to apologise for his swearing afterwards. He was really
wound up. And to be honest with you, he knew because he said to me afterwards, he said, you knew what I knew. I said, yep, and it bothered me. He said, I couldn't box, so I couldn't work my jab. He said, if I'd have missed with a jab, the pain, it would have put me in limp mode. He said, I wouldn't be able to fight. He said, the pain when I was throwing the jab was unbearable. He said, I was fighting two people in there. I was fighting the pain in my own body and him. So he said, the only thing I could do is get close and make a war of it. He said, I know I wanted to win more than him. He said, and that was it. He said, seek and destroy or be destroyed. That was my motto, he said. He either gets me or I get him. He said, all went out the window after the fourth round when I got the knockdown. He said, I looked up and thought, here we are again, dogfight mode. This is where I got to go, trench warfare. And he was in there. And he's prepared to do that for as long as it took. And thank God that he was the winner.
Did you think, heart of hearts, certainly the second time he went down, this is it, he's not getting up this time?
I always knew. Unless Tyson is not in his senses, he'll get up, Tyson. He's one of them. He'll never be defeated on that floor. He'll never look up in his sense and let the referee count him out. Definitely not. Because that's not the way of a warrior. Even me when I was fighting, I was nothing when I was boxing. But I was on the front foot. If I got knocked out, I got knocked out. I wouldn't shy away. If I could have got up, I would have done. In my case, I couldn't get up. Yeah. Because I wasn't physically fit enough to weather the storm like that. But Tyson he's an athlete. He's a veteran of his job. He's a natural fighter. He's well experienced in the game. He's been down before. He knows what it's like to go down and get back up again. And Larry Holmes said it a lot of years ago. It takes a world-class fighter to climb up off the floor and win. And that's what he does. He always finds a way.
Yeah, fair play. I mean, talk of weather in the storm. We've got our own storm coming here.
Yeah, no, it's been like this. It won't rain. Don't worry about that.
We shall battle through. Just coming back to the elbows, that was, fair play to Tyson as well. I mean, he could have made an excuse about it. A valid excuse. Could have got the fight put back again. But like you say, he's a warrior and he just...
For me, it was worrying for me, to be honest with you, because you know what? I said, you're pleasing other people at your own cost. I said, you're not physically ready for this. I said, nobody's going to blame you. You'll get a lot of flack. I said, but do it properly. He said, no. He said, we've been here before. This is where I'm at. I'm handicapped. I'm going to fight injured. We know that, he said, but I've still got to do it. I've still got to do this. He said, it's like people going over the top in the First World War. He said, they had to do it. I'm in the same position. I've got to do it. Because if I don't, he said, it's over for me anyway. You know, but what a man. I can only commend him. I sit here around this fire at night time and all I can think about is that fighting him, what he must have been going through, what mindset he was in. But I'd never seen a look in his eye like before. Do you see the look in his eyes when he come to the middle of the ring? You know, that look, I've never seen him like that before.
Yeah.
What was he seeing through them eyes though when he was looking at Wilder?
I don't know, yeah, you're right. It was just like possessed almost, you know. It was like, you know, or, you know.
His eyes was twisting with venom and ill intentions. And I know, there we go, L's coming to breakfast here at some point. Although he's going to try and do what he can do, but when it don't work, he's going to switch and he's going to do what he's going to do in here. But that's what he does. But it's not Tyson. Tyson's a slick boxer. You know, what I would have done if I'd have been him, I'd have mixed a bit of slick boxing with that stuff. But he wasn't physically fit enough to do that. He hadn't had time to do it. And it's easier to stand there toe to toe than move around boxing when you're not in proper condition, you know. But he sparred too many rounds for my liking. 10s and 12 rounds, should know better than that. You don't need that amount of sparring. It's like having 2 12-round fights in 1 week. You don't need that amount of sparring. Even though you've got headgear on big gloves, you still got gigantic men swinging away at you, still taking stick, and it does take the edge off you. But I thought he should have knew that. I thought Sugar Hill should have knew that, but they didn't. You know, and that's what it is, you know. But they've got away with it, haven't they? It worked for Tyson, but it's not how they've got away with it. Tyson's that damn good. And he's got this burning desire never to be defeated by another man. If you never had that, where would you go with it?
Yeah.
Where would you go with it?
Well, I saw it again at the end of the fight that Tyson was, you know, leaning over the ropes, saying a prayer with Shane next to him. Again, never seen him as emotional as that. It was almost like kind of the biggest win of his career. I'm not saying it was the most important one, but it was like, it was so hard fought.
I'll tell you why he was emotional and all the family was emotional. Because they knew, like I knew, what he'd gone through on the build-up to it. He's done the impossible. You know, and even Tyson disbelieves himself. How have I done this? How have I pulled it off? You know? Divine intervention. That's what Tyson thinks in his own mind. Because he knows one man on his own is not powerful to do what he does. You know, I know he does it physically, but to be honest with you, it's out of this world what he does. Because a lot of people with these problems wouldn't even think about that. 3 weeks later, when his daughter was dead, she flatlined for 3 minutes, it was over. He was shattered. I took him before the problem on a run in Liverpool. His lungs was on fire. He said, I've just done that. It was 3 miles. It says, nearly killed me that. That was 3 weeks before that. You know, and I'm thinking to myself, as a dad, what do you do here? You know, but I'm the father. We know that. But he will do as he's going to do anyway, regardless of what I say. And they all have that way mindset. Even Tommy, he'll do what he's going to do anyway. You know, and like the rest of the boys, all I can do is give me opinion. But if I'd have had my way, it would have never took place. But if he wants to carry on boxing, he's got to fight different than that.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to have a short career.
I suppose as well, as you say, he was kind of forced into that.
Forced into it.
Yeah.
Forced into it. His back was against the wall. He said, what do I do? Look bad. He said, a lot of people depending on me, my fans. I said, those real fans, do they care about you? If they cared about you, they wouldn't want you to do this. But he said he wears his heart on his sleeve, Tyson. And he gets that thing in his head where, you know what's going to be is going to be. I can only do the best I can. I'm going to do it anyway. That's why I was trying to be positive all the time, saying he's had a good camp, he's been sensible, he's done this, that and the other. I'm trying to give him drive as a father. But if I'd have been negative right the way down the pipe and said, don't do it, son, you're not ready, son, you've got a million problems, you're not right, this and that's wrong, it's all wrong, I'd have put him down, and he's going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And when you know a man's going to war, even though you know it's not right in your own head, you're going to try and give him some courage and confidence, aren't you?
Yeah, of course.
And as a father, I think I'm good at that. But he knew what I was thinking. You know, it's nerve-wracking for me because you just don't know the outcome of things like that when you're not proper fit. And that punch would have shot an ox down, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
His full body quivered like a jelly on a plate.
No, I did say that any other fighter in the world, I think that's Wilder. It's all over in Florida.
I think that's the hardest he's been in his full career. It was even harder than when he got knocked down in the first fight. Because them punches there, what he took in that third fight, they stay with you. They stay with you, them. And it was in the Haley on the fight, 4th round. And how Haley got to round 11, and he stoked his fire up, but then he was ready for a 20-rounder, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was going nowhere, Tyson.
And I think Wilder, to his credit, I mean, he gave it all in those first 5-6 rounds, and then he was gassed after that, wasn't he? I think
He did.
But he was fair play to me. He said he wanted to go out on his shield, and that's what he did.
He went out in his shield this time. He'll have an headache for quite a while, I think, don't you?
Yeah.
But who was it now? Steve Cunningham a few years ago.
Yeah, remember that.
He done a 60. They used to do 2-minute interviews, didn't he, in the back of the Boxing News and that. And they asked him a question. What was your hardest fight you've ever had? He said, without a doubt, Tyson Fury. He said, why? He said, it was like fighting 2 people in there. The strength of the man, the will to win.
Yeah.
You know, he's been down, he keeps getting back up. Unless he's counted out and he can't get up at all and he's out of his senses, this man's going to get to his feet every time, isn't he? But there's only so long you can keep doing that. And I know the fight game inside out. You can't keep going to the well like that. Because all of a sudden you fight one day and a jab will knock you over. Your punch resistance goes through sheer punishment. You know, but he has a good hard-earned rest now. And what he wants to do is up to him. I said, retire. You've done enough. He's won everything. He's got no more to prove.
Yeah.
You know, he's got millions and millions of pounds in the bank. He's secure for life. You know, there's more to life than get your brains rattled, isn't there, to please the public. You know, but he's his own man. He'll do what he's going to do. But for me, I'd like him to call it a draw now.